You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And do we have a good show planned for you today? Why do you ask? Because as you can see, Jeff Goldenhersh is our guest. Jeff's the CEO and founder of FindYourCrew Incorporated. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So let's go right into it. Let's go to your origin story. What is it? Tell us a little bit about your background and what did you see in the marketplace that gave you the inspiration and then the motivation to launch FindYourCrew?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my background, I came out of school up at Stanford in 2016 and went into private practice at a law firm, bounced around a bunch of different law firms in Los Angeles, and eventually landed at a hyper-growth fintech company up in San Francisco. And then, in 2021, 22, my wife and I came down. She got into medical school here down at UC Irvine, and I came down with her. And when we arrived, I was looking around after a couple of years had gone by, noticing that I didn't have as many new friends as I thought I might. I had left the pre-established social structures of school, work, and the other kind of areas of where you have a built-in community where you can find new people with similar interests. And I was lamenting on the floor of my house here in Irvine and talking with my wife about it. And she said, well, why don't you just try to think about how you might solve the problem? And that's kind of where the idea for FindYourCrew came about. It came about 5 months ago, was the initial idea. And then we started getting heads down on product development a couple months ago. So, I mean, it seemed to me like it was not just a problem that I was facing, was a problem that a lot of people that I know have faced. 62% of Americans report feeling lonely. 40% report having fewer than 3 close friends, and 12% say that they have no close friends. So I think there's a real lack of connection and a lack of an ability, notwithstanding all of the technological innovation that's happened over the past decade or two. There seems to be a gap in tools that are able to assist people in finding new friends and building new connections. So we thought, hey, there's this gap in the marketplace. There's also a lot of new technology that's developed over the past couple of years in AI and machine learning that it appears that many companies are not really utilizing to its fullest potential to attack this specific problem. So we looked at the problem and thought, how can we use these new tools to provide a new type of social platform that can help really get into the granular details around connecting people and reduce friction to creating new friendships, building new relationships, and building meaningful connections.
Interesting business premise. And so I'm wondering, you're pretty early in the game of getting the business up and running, but have you had any pivots to the model from when you were thinking about it to when actually now you're doing something about it? Anything change? Any new?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, at this stage, we are pretty committed to the idea we started out with, and we haven't seen any indication that we should be pivoting in a different direction. I mean, we're, of course, as any founder of any business would know, you're going to have to evaluate the business realities as they evolve, see how customers receive the product, see if the company can actually make meaningful money and deliver meaningful returns to investors. But I think at this stage, we think that the opportunity is so large that there's really no need to focus on any area other than what we focused on thus far. So, I mean, we're still building the product. We want to make sure it's near perfect. We have our wait list up and running, and we're building an ecosystem of partnerships that we can use to provide more value to our users. I can kind of explain a little bit maybe
Yes,
how it works, that's
that'd
helpful.
be yeah, that'd be. You anticipated my next question. Good job, Jeff. Yes, tell us how it works.
Yeah. So essentially, it's a multi-part matching algorithm. The first part is conventional user preferences. So you may think that you want to find new friends in certain fields with certain interests, with certain demographics, whether that be man, woman, someone with parents that are living with them, someone with new fresh children, or like someone who's a founder of a tech company or a founder of a middle market business, for example, right? So you can set basic preferences around demographics. And then we also have added a personality assessment. And we used a proprietary data set of personality assessments to train a predictive model using various machine learning methodologies that will help us look at people's personalities and the compatibility they have with respect to other people. So it's part user preferences, as you would tell us, and it's part let us tell you who we think might make sense for you. And then I think there's an added level where one of the major benefits of the proliferation of language models in the past couple of years is processing free text input or analyzing free text input, right? You can tell it what you want to see and it will interpret that language, right? That's where language model, the terminology basically comes from, right? So we have an added ability to bring really unprecedented customizing to your preferences that I think most software applications don't have the capability to do, and they don't offer in the marketplace. So you can tell us, just between you and us, exactly the type of person that you want us to match you with, and then we will use our magic to try to find you groups of people that fit those criteria. And then once we have matched you with a small group of people, we partner with local small businesses or larger national chains. Businesses like, for a good example would be if you're a fitness enthusiast or you like sightseeing, we have a partnership with an electric bike rental company in Santa Monica. So we work with them to get you a 20% discount off their rack rate. And then we find you people that might like to do that activity with you. We help you plan it, we help you book it, and we help you get out there and try to make new friends.
This is exciting. Can I ask some follow-up questions?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's take the first one off the table. Is this a dating site?
Absolutely not. So that's actually there's an explicit disclosure on that on the app. It'll be on our community rules section. So I think that there are a lot of dating apps out there, and we harbor no animus towards people looking for romantic connections.
Sure.
And if you happen to find a romantic connection through our application, that's wonderful. But I think the primary goal is to address the lack of platforms designed at helping people find meaningful platonic relationships and connections. There are a lot of different demographics that struggle with this. Empty nesters who perhaps their children have moved away, even young parents who are forced to be friends with their kids' classmates' parents. That may not be who they want to be friends with,
Right.
And they're certainly not looking to date, but they're looking to find new people that might be a better fit for friendship for them. So it's not a dating app. We pride ourselves in that, and we hope that gives users a little more comfort, especially if they are in a committed relationship or they're just not looking, that this is not somewhere where you're going to come and just be romantically pursued.
Thank you. Second question. The business model strikes me that you've got a two-sided model. On one side, you have to have people who are looking for friends, and on the other side, you have to have people who volunteer to become a friend. Like, you know what I mean? It's a community. What's your vision for how you attract both sides of that dynamic?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think there's certainly that component. We're building a marketplace, and it's really even a three-sided marketplace, because you have the seekers of friendship and the providers of friendship, right? Which is what you were getting at, and then you have the local business elements where we want to link people up that have interest in purchasing goods or services, local businesses, and then figure out how we're going to match them together. And how do you attract the supply without the demand? How do you build the demand without the supply, right? It's a chicken and egg problem. So I think we're we've adopted a similar strategy as many have seen from apps and products and companies like Airbnb, like DoorDash, like Uber. They all kind of use the same playbook when they initially started, which was constraining. They constrain geography of launch. They constrain, potentially what types of products and services they're offering, so they can really focus on doing, as Y Combinator, the startup incubator up in the Bay Area would say, do things that don't necessarily scale, right? You can do things a lot more manually in the beginning if you're constraining to a more accessible cross section of potential people. So I think as far as building the demand side of friendship, that's a lot of legwork and a lot of groundwork. It's building up organic social media campaigns. It's actually going to events and trying to hand out little QR codes. I have these little cards with this little get a free month of our premium service, where I'm personally doing it. And then on the business side, it's finding a few anchor partners that have faith in the product and have a belief that there is a need for this, and kind of that will help us build and launch so that we can scale eventually when the users do arrive.
One more question, and then we'll move on with the rest of the interview. Just you're just sparking thoughts as you're answering the previous question. The revenue model then, based on what you just said, it feels like it's a subscription service model. Is that true?
Yeah, so there are a multitude of revenue levers. I think the first lever is the tried and true subscription freemium model. So everyone gets access to essentially all of the services we provide for free. But if you want deeper discounts, the best way to look at it would be we get a revenue share of 20% from a business, for example. We'll pass 10% of that discount on to users who don't pay for the premium service. Maybe we'll pass 15 or the entire 20 to people who do pay for the premium service. So you have a subscription tier, which gets you more potential matches, maybe get prioritized in certain ways when we show you to people. And then you have the B2B side, which is the rev share side, where we talk to local businesses that are interested in targeting the demographics that we're seeking to service, where they say, hey, we have a boba shop that wants to attract people in a certain demographic, and we can then link those up with potential small groups of people that will purchase in advance, products or services from those businesses. So those businesses get cash earlier, they get business from us, and then we get a revenue share from them. So those are the two kind of primary revenue drivers. I think the third one, which is fairly nascent, but which we think there's a substantial demand for, is in enterprise. The loneliness problem in the United States, it costs employers, this is, I think, a fact from the CDC, it costs employers $154 billion a year in terms of absenteeism and other issues where employees just aren't quite feeling social, right? So there are a lot of technology companies, they provide wellness stipends to their employees. They can use them for either the gym memberships or even the meditation apps like Calm and Headspace that are out there. We think that there's a potential revenue driver in the enterprise space as well, if we can kind of work a co-working model into the equation.
Good answer. Very interesting and exciting. I was excited. I told you at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good show with Jeff, and so far so good, my friend. Why don't we move on? And I'm wondering if you've been given a piece of business advice, maybe put it in context that you could share with my audience today here on the show.
Yeah, sure. So I think the thing that would first come to mind would be one that a colleague told me where I was working at that last tech company I was working at, which is a big, fairly big enterprise tech unicorn, valued at a couple $2 billion, 1,500 employees. And it was my first in-house legal position where I was responsible for the legal for over 100 countries where we did business. Had teams on several continents working with me, and that was the first time when I was actually blessed to become an operator and not a professional services provider. Where previously I was practicing law, and the client's problems they were my problems because I was providing a service to them, but they weren't really my problems. It wasn't something I really panicked over because you have a process, right? I mean, you know what your job is, you step through the process, and then whatever happens, happens, and then you move on to the next whatever the next project is. When you're an operator, you feel a little bit more personally responsible for what's happening in the business, even if it's not anything related to something that you might have done, right? You still feel some sort of obligation to solve it and some sort of responsibility for it. So, we had a couple of issues crop up that made me feel a little bit panicked. And I spoke to one of my colleagues, and he put it into a really interesting way that I've carried with me going forward. Specifically, he said that there are really three types of problems in a business. The first type is the type that can destroy your business overnight. And a good example that I like to use is if you're running Abercrombie, like the retail store, and meteors hit every single manufacturing, distribution, and retail store at the same time in your corporate office, your corporate headquarters. And that point, you really don't have a business anymore. Like you're out of luck. That's completely destructive to your ability to operate a business. The second category is problems that can be solved with money, like a colossal amount of money, whether it's something where you're dealing with a potential commercial dispute, or where you're dealing with an investor, or whether you want to invest a ton of money on R&D in a specific product to pursue something that might be a little risky, but that you think is the future of the company in terms of product development or what you want to bring to consumers. And then the third bucket is everything else. And I think that, over time, I've learned that almost all of the problems fall into that everything else bucket. There's almost, maybe you'll see a meteor issue once every couple of years. Maybe you'll see a big company level issue once a year, but every other day is dealing with the types of issues that can be solved with setting up normal, good business process and kind of understanding what your strategic plan is and how to execute on the plan. So I think that's kind of something that's really stuck with me.
Great story, great advice. And I think from what I know of early stage entrepreneurs, every day is just filled with all those challenges that you have to figure out how to overcome. And being able to compartmentalize them probably helps you with your sanity as well, I would think. So
absolutely.
Yeah, good advice. Thanks for sharing it, Jeff. I'm curious, as you described your business model and the large language aspect of it, I'm wondering, would your business be able to be put together the way you're putting it together if there wasn't this thing called artificial intelligence?
I think the product would be really bad. I just do that's just the answer. I mean, I think that there a lot of businesses try to use AI. They try to find ways to use AI because AI is hot, and I think that that's important. And there's a ton of application for AI on the back end of kind of increasing productivity. And there are probably a bunch of interesting use cases on the front end for customer facing work as well. I think every business could probably benefit from it. For our situation, however, it's really something that is critical to the underlying product offering. We wouldn't be able to have someone just essentially text me, "Hey, Jeff, I really want to prioritize new groups of friends of people that have founded companies multiple times, that have a lot of operating experience, and that are really passionate about entrepreneurship." Like that type of hyper customized guidance is just not something that would be possible without these types of language models and this type of classification that needs to happen. I mean, if you look at the best analogy would be the dating apps. If anyone's ever seen a dating app, you'll see sometimes they have like an interest list where you can scroll for years on like the different interests that you can select, and they may not be exactly right, but they're right, close enough. That's not, we go a step further there. And I think because we go a step further there, we wouldn't be able to do it without the technology that's really developed over the last couple of years.
I love when businesses are able to use emerging technology to create a business. And I think this enabling technology called AI has so many tentacles, and you're an outstanding example with FindYourCrew. So thanks for sharing that. The future. We'll have you back on the show. Talk to us about your vision for the future of your firm.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think we would really like to be a go-to platform for not only people looking to find new connections, which I think we can provide tremendous value in, but also for pre-existing groups of people or people that have found each other through our app to continue to do fun things. Like if we get a sense of who you are and what you're interested in, there's no reason that we can't help take the planning out of the equation for you to help do fun things. I think that's one of the things that people find as they get a little bit older and as their friends maybe move to different places, or as they grow to different stages of life, or as they have kind of diverging interests. It's hard to plan fun things with people as you move on. And I think that my vision would be to build a more connected world. So to help people find more meaningful connections, and so that they're not sitting around on a Thursday night or a Friday night or Saturday during the day saying, I have no friends to do anything with. I don't want anyone to say that sentence ever again. That's the first kind of primary concern. The second is, we want to actually help you get there by not only introducing you to people, but by introducing you to businesses that provide the types of activities that you might actually really enjoy, and give you ideas for that as well. So I think that the top of mind for me, as far as where I see it going, we're definitely going to be a national platform, hopefully a global platform one day. But we're focusing initially on Southern California. I think we have on the roadmap other major metropolitan areas. In the next year or so after we launch, we're probably looking at places like New York and other larger cities and larger regions. I think, but the short of it is we want to become a go-to social platform, one that can help you find new friends, one that can help you stay connected to your friends, and one that can help you kind of find new opportunities for fun things to do and let you save some money while you're doing them.
And as you describe the fuller vision for the firm, I can see how the subscription model has the long-term value beyond finding people that you want to be friends with. It's now finding things that the community can be doing together, which I'm a big fan of community. I think I focus on it for entrepreneurs and business owners, but I think in life we're social creatures, and there have to be people out there that you would enjoy spending time with. It's terrible to be lonely.
I think that I would be happy if the world we ended up in was that most of our revenue came from revenue share for activities, and very minimal amount came from subscriptions, right? Because that means we're actually getting people out there a little bit more. So that would be an ideal world for me. We'll see if we can get there.
Yeah, that's a win-win-win. I mean, the business benefits, you guys benefit. It's just okay. So if someone would like to connect with you on LinkedIn or learn more about the firm, where should they go? What should they do?
Sure. Yeah. So our website is FindYourCrew.ai. That's a good place to start. They can always email me at jeff@FindYourCrew.ai if they'd like. I personally respond to emails if you're interested. And then, we have LinkedIn pages. We're currently setting up social accounts right now. You can contact us through any of those at Connect with Crew. And otherwise, I think, email is really good. LinkedIn's really good. We're happy to connect with folks. Also, we have, just as a shameless plug, we have our wait list open on our website for when we do release the app. So if you're interested in learning more as a potential user, you feel free to check it out, and then we'll help you find your crew.
Well, as I said at the middle of the show and the top of the show, we were going to have a good one, and you did not disappoint. I really appreciate your time today. I know you're super busy, and carving out some time to share your story with our audience is much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
And thank you to the guests, to the audience. Sorry. You've been a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. Jeff's show now joins our catalog of 1,500 plus episodes that we've done over the years. If you happen to be an Orange County entrepreneur, or you lead a nonprofit that's here in Orange County, and you would like to share your story with our audience the way that Jeff just did, it's super easy. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I, Rick Franzi. If we're not already connected, send me a LinkedIn connection request. Maybe put in there that you have an interest in being a guest. If we are connected already, just send me a message, and I'll be happy to follow up. Between Haley, our producer, who's been with us since 2016, and me we can get you ready to be a future guest on the program. We're always looking for interesting Orange County-based guests to have on the show. Until the next time we have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.